tons of huge collaborations with Travis Scott, Trophy Room, A Ma Maniere, and so much more, along with the return of iconic grails and Nike basketball sneakers that are going for over $1,000 is just some of what we're going to be going over today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your full 2024 sneaker release guide, and it's going to include all Jordan and Nike sneaker release dates. Today, we're going to be going over the release date, retail, and whether or not each of these sneakers is expected to sell out and maybe even be profitable. Now, obviously, you could expect a lot of these sneakers to have shock drops before their actual release date, and as always, Endurance always has your back with all of the precise early information for every single one of them. Not to mention, Endurance covers much more than just sneaker reselling, like concert tickets, stocks, Amazon FBA, and much more on that same link below. But I also make completely free sneaker guides with links, tips, and urgent notifications for completely free on that same link below. Not to mention, you also get a completely free channel from Endurance on that same link, which is currently the free Chick-fil-A channel. Yes, I'll show you guys how you can get Chick-fil-A for completely free. Now, let's get started. Also, I got timestamps in the description, so you can feel free to skip around too. First, on January 4th, for $285, we got the AlphaFly 3 prototype dropping. Now, these actually have some interesting history to them. This is because history was recently made in Chicago when Kelvin Kiptum of Kenya shattered the marathon world record, clocking an astonishing time of 2 hours and 35 minutes, and he happened to be wearing this sneaker. So because of that, these might actually have more demand than they otherwise would have. Nonetheless, with a retail that high of $285, I still wouldn't expect these to be profitable, but if you do want a personal pair, I am expecting these to sell out, so don't sleep. Then, on January 5th, for $170, we got the Lebron NXXT Gen first game dropping. Like most Lebrons, I would expect these to just be personals, and you might even be able to get these for below retail in the secondary market if you are patient, but nonetheless, this is a pretty clean pair of Lebrons, white, black, and red. Can't go wrong with these. Then on January 9th, for $160, we got the Air Max 2 CB94 Old Royal. Unfortunately, following their 2021 drop, these are already close to retail in the secondary market, so I would have to say personal only for these, but I am expecting them to sell out, so don't sleep if you do want a personal pair. Next up, on January 10th, for $175, we got Jordan 2 Women's Sail and Black dropping. Unfortunately, like most Jordan 2s, I would expect these to just be personals, and you might even be able to get these on sale if you are patient. But if you are looking for a nice pair of bowling shoes, these might be for you. Then on January 17th, for $140, we got the Jordan Airship Diffused Blue. Considering even the A Ma Maniere collab for the Airships bricked, I would expect pretty much the same for these. At best, maybe the very large sizes like 11.5 and above might be brick profit with a poor margin if you have no tax, but otherwise they're just going to be personals. Nonetheless, it's a nice personal if you're looking for a vintage looking sneaker. These are pretty solid colors too. Then on January 20th, for $175, we got the Jordan 2 I think I'm allergic to these Jordan 2s. Of course, being a Jordan 2, don't expect these to be profitable. In fact, if you do want a personal, you should probably be able to get these on sale if you are patient. Then on January 22nd, for $140, we got the Ja 1 Chinese New Year. We've actually been seeing a lot of Ja's have pretty decent demand, with sizes 11 plus actually being profitable on some no-name colorways. Now, this being a Chinese New Year is only going to be better for them. While yes, they do have a slightly elevated retail, there still should be more than sufficient demand for profitability, especially on the larger sizes 10 and above, so I would expect these to be profitable with a decent to good margin in those large sizes, and maybe even lunch money on the smaller ones too. As of now, I would just focus on those large sizes, especially 11 and above though. Not to mention, this is just a really nice colorway, at least for Jaws, that we've seen so far, not to mention the incredible details that we see on the lace locks too. Then, even more exciting, on January 24th, for $116, we got the Chinese New Year Jordan 1 Low Year of the Dragon. As you can see, they got the dragon scale upper coming in green. Overall, it's a really nice colorway, and not just that, but being a Chinese New Year Jordan 1, of course, these are going to be really hyped up, and they're probably going to be pretty difficult to get to, which is unfortunate for me. I really wanted these. Let me know if you guys feel the same way below, but anyway, at only $160, I am expecting these to be very profitable with a great margin, especially in the larger sizes. Not just that though, but again, this is a fire pair. I'm really excited for these. Also on January 24th, for $165, we got another Jordan 2. But okay, this is the Jordan 2 Low Chinese New Year, and honestly, I have to say, it's actually a pretty nice pair of Jordan 2s. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I normally hate on Jordan 2s, I know, but this is a really nice colorway, not to mention the dragon scale details that we see in white on the upper of these. These came out really nice, so props to Jordan Brand for actually managing to make a Jordan 2 look really, really nice. At least that's my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel about these, but I do think that these actually do have potential for profitability, which is crazy, I know, as a Jordan 2, but these Chinese New Year Jordans actually tend to have pretty decent demand, so we'll see as we do get closer to the drop, of course, but as of right now, I'm optimistic for at least lunch money. We'll see, though. Also on January 24th, for $200, we got the Jordan 38 Chinese New Year. Unfortunately for these, I would expect these to just be personals. I'm honestly not a big fan of Jordan 38s in general. I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same, but if you are looking for a basketball sneaker, something different than what you will typically see on the court, this might be for you. Then on January 27th, for $180, we got the Jordan 1 High Yellow Ochre. Personally, I think this is a really, really nice pair of Jordan 1s. I love the colorway, being sort of a dark yellow, yellow-orange look, kind of like what we saw on the Jordan 1 Taxi. Not to mention the materials on these, being nubuck, are a little bit different than what we're used to with leather, so I think it's a really great pair overall. But that doesn't take away from the fact that most Jordan 1s recently haven't been performing well, so I would expect these to just be personals. But if you do want a personal, don't sleep on these because I am expecting them to still sell out. Then on January 29th, for $115, we got the Dunk Low Women's Valentine's Day. Since this is a more feminine sneaker, I do think that there is potential for smaller sizes actually to do well enough for brick profit, maybe even lunch money, but we'll see as we do get closer to the drop. Overall, my expectations aren't that high, as a lot of Dunk Lows in general that aren't collaborations haven't been doing too well lately. This definitely is a more unique pair considering the laces are different and the materials on them are suede, definitely different than what we're used to seeing on a lot of the recent Dunk Low colorways. And last but not least for today, we got the return of one of the most iconic Foamposites, and that is the Air Foamposite One Eggplant. These are dropping sometime in January without a precise date yet, but I'll keep you guys updated for $240. Now obviously with the retail that high, I'm not really expecting these to be profitable, mostly just going to be personals. However, size 13 in Foamposites sometimes actually does so well that you could actually make a slight profit, a little bit of lunch money off of them, so keep an eye on size 13 for these. When they do come out, you might be able to make a little bit of money, especially if you have no tax, but otherwise they are just going to be personals. Nonetheless, they're absolutely fire personals. If you couldn't tell by now, January is the worst month for sneaker releases every single year. This is always the case, it's nothing new, but that doesn't mean there's not some good releases. We definitely have a few standout ones, not to mention there is one surprise release, that of which I didn't talk about today, but I did allude to at the beginning. Again, just a reminder, I do post early info for all types of shock drops inside of my group Endurance, which you could join with the link below. Not just that, but we do also offer completely free sneaker guides and a method to get free Chick-fil-A on that same link below, so consider checking it out when you do have a moment. Then jumping into February, on the 3rd for $200, the Jordan 6 Yellow Ochre is going to be dropping. This is pretty much the same exact color and very similar material too, at least on the yellow part, which is that nubuck suede material. I think these look pretty nice. I'm personally a fan of the yellow, but I know most people aren't going to be, unfortunately, and in general, Jordan 6s just don't tend to do too well, so I'd have to say for these, personal only. But if you do want a personal, I'm not sure these are going to go on sale. If anything, maybe slightly below retail in the secondary market. Next up, everybody's favorite, we got a Jordan 2 Low again, this time in the Python colorway. These are dropping on February 7th for $155. That's right, Jordan Brand had the audacity to increase the retail by $5 on these. Are you Personally, I'm not a fan of them, but I know I'm slandering Jordan 2s a lot, so I gotta say something nice about them, I guess. Nah, I don't have to. Now jumping into February, on February 8th for $190, we're getting another Kobe 8, this time the Kobe 8 Radiant Emerald. This is another pair that is obviously going to be really hyped up, have a lot of demand as we get closer to it. I know a lot of you guys are probably really excited that these are coming back, and in terms of resale, they will be profitable with a good margin or better. While they might not be the best Kobe, they're definitely still going to be good enough for profitability, but again, I think a lot of us are just hoping to get these for ourselves. Now, of course, if you get the Kobe 8 Emerald, you also got to get the Kobe 8 Court Purple. These are also dropping on February 8th for $190, and in the same way, this pair is also going to be really hyped up. I'd even say this pair is going to have more demand than the other pair, and thus these will still be profitable with a good margin, potentially even better than that. But again, a lot of us are really just hoping to get a pair for ourselves, especially if you're a basketball player. These are going to look insane on the court. Next up, on February 10th for $200, we got the Jordan 13 Blue Gray. Personally, not a big fan of this colorway, but you know, they might be nice if you're a fucking Hertz employee. Oh, you can't make this shit up. They put an ad for Hertz right next to that. Like most Jordan 13s recently, I'd have to say these are probably just going to be personals, and you might even be able to grab them on sale. Then next up, on February 14th for $180, we got the Jordan 1 High Women's Metallic Gold. Personally, not a big fan of this colorway with the gold and overall white. Maybe not the most wearable, but you know, if you dress like, what's the f***er's name from Johnny Test, you might be able to pull these off in that case. But in terms of resale, I don't expect these to be profitable like most Jordan 1s recently. These are probably going to be just personals, and if you're patient, you might even be able to grab these on sale like we've seen on metallic Jordan 1s before. On February 15th, we are going to be getting another Trophy Room Jordan. This time, it's going to be a Jordan 1 Low. Actually, it's going to be two of them. The first one is going to be black sail and metallic gold. Meanwhile, the other pair is very similar to a Chicago colorway, being sail black, varsity red, and muslin. We actually got an early look at these, and they look really, really nice. Now, with that said, it's really unfortunate because we're probably not going to be able to get these. As you guys know, Trophy Room releases are not exactly releases for the public, to say the least. With that said, though, I do have to admit that this is a really nice shoe. It takes inspiration from Michael Jordan's 1986 Fleer basketball rookie card and a 1984 Sports Illustrated photo which features Michael Jordan in his Chicago Bulls warm-up suit while he was mini golfing. So this is a really nice shoe. It's just very unfortunate because it's probably not going to be a fair release for us. Obviously, like the last Jordan 1 Trophy Room, you could expect both of these to be extremely profitable with an incredible margin, and unfortunately they're not going to be easy to get at all. Just cross your fingers that maybe there's a decent amount of stock reserved for Nike sneakers. Of course, we'll see what's going to happen as we do get closer to the release. Next up, we got another Jordan 185, this time the Jordan 185 Metallic Burgundy. Now, this actually is not the Jordan 1 Metallic Red colorway. It's actually slightly darker, and now it's going to be making its return in OG form, the 85 cut. These drop on February 16th for $200 on Nike sneakers and Nike boutiques. 85 cuts have managed to maintain pretty decent demand on each release and remain profitable, and I think this will remain the case for these as well. So most likely lunch money or slightly better with a subpar to decent margin on most sizes and slightly better for the larger sizes. February 16th for $130, we're getting another iconic KD4, this time even more iconic, the KD4 Galaxy. Guys, when these first dropped, these were a huge deal. I remember when I was first getting into sneakers, these were like grails for everybody. I was really hoping to eventually be able to afford a pair, and now look, they're finally redropping for just $130. I cannot wait to get my hands on a pair of these, and I know a lot of you OG sneaker collectors feel exactly the same way about these. Now, usually when it comes to Nike basketball sneakers, I would say that they're typically harder to pull off outside of gym wear, but I think that this pair could actually go really well with today's styles. It has a really unique vintage retro look to them, and of course, if you are looking for a basketball sneaker, these will be absolutely insane on the court, or if you're just into collecting, this is an absolutely iconic pair of KDs that is an essential for any real sneakerhead. Now, in terms of profitability, I am definitely expecting these to be profitable, especially with a retail of just $130. There should be plenty of room for profit with a good margin, or potentially even better than that when it comes to these. Next up, we have the Jordan 4 Bred Reimagined. I'm sure tons of us are super excited to get a Bred 4 back in general, since the last release was in 2019, but I'm not sure how to feel about the leather reimagined aspect of it. I think I would have preferred a simple vintage, aged look with the original materials like we saw in the Jordan 1 Lost and Found, but overall, I still like them. Anyway, these drop on February 17th for $215. Also, you could expect an early shock drop for these and many more for upcoming hype sneakers, so make sure to follow my Twitter, KeithAdam10, for urgent updates on these, and for early information on all kinds of shock drops and much more. Endurance always has your back. Like the recent Jordan 12 or Jordan 1 Satin, Endurance always has your back, along with much more, which goes far beyond just sneaker reselling. So if you're looking for a profitable side hustle, you could consider joining with the link in the description below. Anyway, you can expect these Jordan 4 Breds to be profitable with a good margin. Despite it being a new material, it still is one of the most sought after Jordan 4 colorways, and Jordan 4s just have really solid demand in general. Let me know if you're planning to grab a personal though. Then on February 23rd, we're getting another absolutely iconic Nike basketball sneaker. This time for $250, we're getting the LeBron 4 Fruity Pebbles. These dropped all the way back in 2006 just as a PE, and now they're finally releasing for the general public, and I know a lot of OG sneaker collectors are super hyped about this, especially if you used to play basketball in the day. You know that these used to be like huge grails for a lot of people. Now I know a lot of the newer sneakerheads are going to say that these are just absolutely crazy and bizarre looking, and you're probably right. Like, these are definitely not easy at all to pull off. I don't even know how you'd do it really, but from a collecting perspective, these are absolutely iconic, and I'm definitely still hoping to get a pair even for $250. With that said, despite these being absolutely iconic, I'm not so sure how they're going to do with a retail of $250. At best, maybe I could see there being some lunch money potential on the very large sizes, but we'll see. You know, I might be wrong, considering these are still just absolutely iconic, and they're still grails for a lot of collectors, so assuming they make them limited enough, I think there might actually be some lunch money potential, but nothing too crazy. We'll see. Next up on February 24th for $180, we have the Jordan 1 High Reverse Panda. These pretty much have the same color blocking as the Jordan 1 Shadow, but they are of course in white and black. Personally, not a big fan of this color blocking, but it did look cool in the shadows. Obviously, that's a classic Jordan 1 colorway. Can't say the same for these. Unfortunately, like many Jordan 1s recently, especially without a black swoosh white mid panel, I'd have to say these are probably going to be just personals, and you'll probably be able to get them for below retail in the secondary market too. They might even go on sale. We'll see. Also on February 24th for $180, we'll be seeing the Jordan 14 Low Women's Mineral Teal. This is definitely one of the more unique colorways. In general, I'm not a big fan of Jordan 14s, and I know a lot of you guys probably aren't either, especially when it comes to Jordan 14 lows, but the colorway is pretty cool nonetheless. Like most Jordan 14s, I'd have to say personal only for these, and you might even be able to get them on sale if you are patient. Then on February 28th for $200, we'll be seeing the Jordan 5 Women's Lucky Green. For once, Jordan Brand's actually timing a themed release pretty well. That's because obviously St. Patrick's Day is only a little while away, so you'll actually be able to get your pair in before the holiday. So often we're used to seeing Jordan Brand dropping Halloween sneakers in November or on Halloween, and then by the time you get them, it's already past. Like, what's the point of that? This time, it looks like they're actually doing it right. So if you are looking for a themed colorway for March season, this is pretty much perfect for you. In general, it's a pretty nice colorway. You know, you got those Celtic colors going on. I know a lot of people will like those. Personally, not a big fan of it, but it's definitely not the worst Jordan 5 we've seen. Unfortunately, though, like most Jordan 5s, I do expect these to just be personals. I don't expect them to go on sale, but we'll see what happens. Then sometime in February, without a precise date as of now, for $125 each, we're getting another big SB Dunk drop. This time, it's a pack. We got the City of Love SB Dunk lows coming in a white colorway and a burgundy crush colorway. Honestly, I think these both came out great, but especially I'd have to give praise to the details on these. As you can see on the white pair here, you got details on the tongue and the insole that I think look absolutely incredible. Not only that, but the materials on these are just amazing, so I'm personally looking forward to more so on the white pair. Let me know which one is your favorite though. I am expecting both of these to be very profitable with a great margin, especially on the larger sizes too. Now, if you thought Nike basketball hype was done, we're just getting started. We're getting the return of the KD4 Year of the Dragon 2.0 sometime in February for $130. I always thought this was one of the coolest KD colorways. You got the dragon wrapping around the Nike sign on these, and I think it just looks really sick. The colors on them too are really cool, and you got that sick design on the strap. Overall, it's definitely one of the coolest KD4 colorways, and I definitely would expect these to be profitable profitable with a good margin, especially in large sizes with a retail of just $130. And of course, if you're looking for a solid basketball shoe that's really interesting, you cannot go wrong with these at all. Now, just when you thought February alone couldn't get crazier for Nike basketball hype, we got the Kobe 6 BHM dropping for $190. You gotta love this pair being white and gold, and also having the legendary mantra of be legendary on the inside of the sneaker. Of course, you could expect these to be very profitable with a great margin, but again, this is another pair that I think a lot of us are just hoping we can finally get for personal. Then on March 2nd, for $210, we have the Jordan 3 Craft Ivory dropping. These look really close to an aged version of the Pure Money 3s. Of course, they're not the same, they're not all white, but it does look pretty interesting, especially if you look closely on the tongue at the Jumpman. Pretty cool how they have that second Jumpman on it, sort of like a shadow. So overall, I definitely think it's a pretty nice Jordan 3. Unfortunately, like most Jordan 3s, I'd still expect these to just be personals for the most part, but I can see these being decent local sellers if you manage to sell these without platform fees, or definitely if you have no tax, especially in those larger sizes. But we'll see as we approach the drop. Overall, wouldn't expect that much from these, but they are pretty solid personals if you ask me. Then on March 6th, for $170, we'll be seeing the Jordan 1 High Women's Dusted Clay drop. I don't think these are going to do well at all. Probably going to sell for below retail in the secondary market. You'll probably be able to get them on sale too. Not much to say about these otherwise. Then on March 9th, for $210, we have the Jordan 5 Olive dropping. Very similar to the Jordan 1 that we talked about just earlier. Obviously, green and orange isn't going to be the easiest to pull off, but because of the shades, I definitely can see it being possible. If you're creative enough, props to you. Personally, I don't know if I could do it, but can see it working. Pretty cool colorways, definitely something different from Jordan, so you do like to see that. Overall, though, like most Jordan 5s, I'd have to say these are just going to be personals, and you might even be able to grab them on sale if you are patient. Kicking off spring with a bang, on March 16th for $200, we will be seeing the Jordan 4 Women's Sale. This is coming in all white with gold accents. Initially, I thought it looked kind of tacky, but after seeing these images, I have to say it actually looks pretty nice, and it looks like they have some pretty premium qualities. At least I'm hoping that that leather isn't all plasticky, but by looking at the tongue, seeing that it is embroidered, does look pretty awesome, have to say. I'm definitely looking forward to getting a personal pair. In terms of resale, if the retail really is $200 and not $225, then I would expect these to be profitable with a subpar to decent margin, especially in the larger sizes, 10 and above. Next up, on March 20th for $210, we have the Jordan 14 Flint Gray. Now, I understand a lot of you guys might not like Jordan 14s, but for those of you who do, this is a great colorway, very universal, easy to match with almost everything. Very hard to go wrong with these. In terms of resale, like most Jordan 14s, I would expect these to just be personals though, and you might even be able to grab them on sale if you are patient, so keep your eyes open if you want a personal. Next up, on March 23rd for $210, we'll be getting the Jordan 9 Powder Blue back finally for the first time in a very long time. We haven't seen a lot of Jordan 9 colorways released this year or last year, so I'm definitely excited to be seeing another one of these classic colorways. The last time we saw these, I think, was in 1994, and that's the picture you're seeing on the screen right now. Obviously, I do expect a new pair to look just like these though. This is just the best we could show you right now. Overall though, definitely excited to get a pair of these in my personal collection. It's very similar to that UNC colorway that everyone seems to really like right now. In terms of resale value, Jordan 9s in general don't tend to do the best, but because this is a UNC-like colorway, I actually do think that there is potential for lunch money on these with a poor to subpar margin. We'll see as we get closer to the drop. Make sure you subscribe and enable post notifications so you stay up to date with everything, and of course how you could cop these too. Later on March 30th for $180, we'll be seeing the Jordan 1 High Craft Sea Glass. Now, while this is just a mock-up courtesy of Z Sneakerheads, it unfortunately does seem like they are going to look pretty similar to this, and it's basically just a less attractive version of the Jordan 1 Seafoam. Those actually looked pretty nice. I can't really say the same for these, but they might be your taste. In terms of resale, I'm definitely not optimistic about these. I'd have to say these are just going to be personals. In fact, you might also be able to grab these for under retail, whether that's in the secondary market or on sale. Then jumping to April, on April 6th for $180, we have the Jordan 1 High Green Glow dropping. I know a lot of us are waiting on those Green Glow Jordan 4s to finally come back, but these will have to suffice in the meantime. Honestly, I think it's a really solid colorway, at least if you like that green glow look. The color blocking is fantastic too. You always have to love when they use the black swoosh with the white mid panel and white toe box. With these, it looks absolutely incredible. Definitely a personal that I want in my collection. Let me know what you guys think about them though. In terms of resale, like most Jordan 1s though, I'd still have to say these are probably just going to end up being personals unless Nike does end up changing production in 2024 to react to the new economy. That's a full video I might end up making too, so let me know in the comments below if that's something you'd be interested in. Next up, on April 13th for $190, we are finally getting the return of a legendary colorway, and of course that is the Spacejam colorway. We last saw the highs drop in 2016, and since then we have not seen them. They dropped with the 45 on the back of them. Now unfortunately this is not the mid Jordan 11, this is the lows, but they will definitely suffice because I think a lot of us want that Spacejam 11 inside of our collection, and this is the best we can get for now. This is also the very first time that we're seeing this colorway in a low version. We already got to see the Cool Gray as lows, we got to see the Concord, we've even got to see the Breds as lows, and all those I think came out really nice, and this is going to be awesome heading into the spring season. In terms of resale though, I can't say the same. Most Jordan 11 lows haven't been performing too great, and a lot of that also has to do with the fact that retail is elevated at $190 compared to what they used to be, which was only like $175. But considering it is such a classic colorway, I do still think there is potential for some brick profit with a poor margin if you have no tax, or maybe even more if you have local buyers, considering Jordan 11s tend to be really easy local sales. A little less exciting, on April 13th for $190, we'll be getting another Jordan 11 low. This time it's going to be in the football gray and midnight navy colorway. This is definitely a nice colorway, especially combined with that icy outsole. Definitely looks really nice. Unfortunately though, I would not expect these to be profitable, personals only. Nonetheless, I think a lot of us are looking forward to these just heading into that spring season. It'll be a great nice pair of lows. On April 13th for $190, we're finally going to be seeing the return of the Kobe 4 Fil-A. Of course, this pair is going to be extremely hyped, like a lot of these iconic Kobes that are finally going to be returning. While this might not be the most hyped Kobe we've seen, nonetheless, it should still be profitable with a great margin, but I do think a lot of us are just going to want to keep these in our personal collection. Also on April 13th, we got the Kobe 6 Italian Camo coming back for $190. Personally, I've always been a huge fan of camouflage on basketball sneakers, like the Foamposite camos that we saw. I used to love those, so I'm really hyped that we're finally going to be able to get our hands on these again. Now, of course, in terms of profitability, these should be profitable with a great margin too, but again, I think we all want to keep these. Now, if you thought those were exciting, get a load of this. On April 13th, also for $190, we're getting the Kobe 8 Venice Beach finally coming back. Guys, this is one of the most iconic Kobes of all time. Now, for those of you who might be new to the sneaker game, obviously these might look a little out there, but trust me, this is one of the most hyped up Kobes that we've ever seen. Now, obviously, if you're getting these for basketball, you're not only going to be breaking ankles out there, but you're definitely going to be breaking some necks. These are loud. So, if you could pull them off, more power to you. But even if you can't pull them off, I think a lot of us really just need these in our collection. Now, if you do want to sell them though, you could definitely expect these to be extremely profitable with an incredible margin, full throttle on this pair. Next up, on April 20th for $200, we will be seeing the Jordan 4 Women's Vivid Sulfur. This is definitely one of the more unique Jordan 4 colorways we've seen. Now, granted, this is just a mock-up courtesy of Z Sneakerheads, so they're not going to look exactly like this, but given the fact that they are going to have white and coconut milk vivid sulfur anthracite, this should be pretty close to what they're going to end up looking like, considering how Jordan Brand typically does their color blocking. It's definitely not the worst looking Jordan 4 we've seen so far, but I am skeptical of profitability right now. Nonetheless, I'm a big Jordan 4 fan. I know a lot of you guys are too, so I think I still do want a pair of these in my personal collection. Considering the Jordan 4 Fire Red ended up not being profitable, I would say these probably won't either, unless of course Jordan Brand does change up their production for the new economy, as I was
alluding to earlier. Again, though, that's something that we'll have to make a whole dedicated video to. Right now, for all these, let's just assume it is going to be the same. Also, on April 20th, for $210, the Jordan 5 Sail should be dropping. This is definitely one of the cleaner Jordan 5 colorways we've seen, and it's more of a wearable, everyday sneaker. Although this is just a mock-up, it should look pretty similar, and if it does, I think a lot of us will be excited to see these, since earthy tones on Jordans have been getting more and more popular. Then later, on April 27th, for $200, the Jordan 3 Green Glow is going to be dropping. Yep, they're deciding to drop every other silhouette other than the Jordan 4s. I don't know why this is. Maybe they're just delaying it because they know that's going to be the best one, but nonetheless, I do have to say these do look pretty awesome. They might be a little harder to pull off, but they might still be something worth adding in the collection. Overall, though, in terms of resale, I wouldn't expect these to be profitable like most Jordan 3s we've seen recently. We also got the Kobe 8 Mambacita dropping on May 1st for $190. This is an absolutely beautiful pair, which definitely is not hard to pull off either. It's mostly white, black, and gray with those gold accents, making these look absolutely incredible. You also got Gigi's name on the back, so these are really going to be an important pair to keep in your collection. You got some beautiful details of the butterflies across the upper of the sneaker, making this one of the most unique Kobe's that we've seen released. If you do intend to sell these, you could expect these to be very profitable with an incredible margin too. We got another Jordan 3, this time the Jordan 3 Women's Georgia Peach, and while this is just a mock-up, if they do end up looking anything like this, I have to say this is a really clean Jordan 3 colorway, and I'm assuming it's going to be pretty close to this considering the color code includes that nice clay sail cement gray, so they should be very similar color blocking to what we see on white cement Jordan 3s, which looks just like this, and that Georgia Peach accent on the back and tongue could really just bring these to life. Unfortunately, though, like most recent Jordan 3s, I'd still expect these to just be personals though. Then on May 10th, for $140, we'll be seeing the Jordan 1 Low Shadow dropping. Now, yes, this is an iconic colorway. Of course, it is on a Jordan 1 Low colorway, so that is going to decrease demand for a lot of people. Personally, I will admit I'm not a big fan of Jordan 1 Lows, but it is really difficult to dislike the Jordan 1 Shadow colorway. Let's just hope that they have some good quality leather on these. We recently got to see another classic Jordan 1 colorway drop in the form of lows, and that was the Jordan 1 Black Toe. Unfortunately, even those didn't end up being profitable. They were just on the border of being profitable and bricking, so at best you can maybe make a couple of local sales, and I think that'll be the fate for these. They're mostly just going to be personals. At best, if you have no tax, maybe in large sizes you can make a couple of decent local sales, considering the retail is low at $140, but otherwise there are definitely solid personals if you're looking for a low for the spring and summer season. Then finally, on May 11th, for $215, the Jordan 4 Military Blue is finally making its grand return. Not only that, but this time they're going to be dropping with that lovely Nike Air on the back, and they are just going to look absolutely incredible. Of course, this is just a mock-up, but they're going to look precisely like this. The last time we got to see this colorway release, I think, was back in 2012, and it had the Jumpman on the back. Now, as of right now, when the UNC colorway is in really high demand, and these are very close to that, I would have to say these are going to have an incredible performance. But not only that, I think most of us definitely need a pair of these in our personal collection, because not only are they super wearable, but they're a classic must-have for everyone's collection. In terms of profitability, I am expecting these to be profitable with a good margin, especially in the larger sizes, and although they should be making a lot of stock, there's just so much demand that's going to be on these. Then on May 18th, for $200, we have the Jordan 12 Red Taxi releasing for the first time. Honestly, I think a lot of people love the Jordan 12 Taxi colorway, me included, and seeing it with red instead of the gold definitely looks pretty cool. Now, of course, this is just a mock-up, so we're going to see how they do turn out, but I'd guess it's going to be pretty similar to these, and I'm pretty excited to see them. Although, in terms of resale, I would have to say these are probably going to just be personals, like we normally see for Jordan 12s. Next up, we got the Jordan 1 Team Red. These are dropping on May 25th for $180. There's not much to say when it comes to this pair. Like many recent Jordan 1s that we've seen that are not classic colorways, these are probably going to end up just being personals. Not only that, but if you want them, you could probably find them them for below retail in the secondary market or even on sale. Next up, on May 25th, for $210, we're getting another Jordan 4, this time the oxidized green. Nope, not the green glow greens, the oxidized greens. Jordan Brand is really teasing us. But anyway, this mock-up does look pretty nice, I have to say. Unfortunately, though, I wouldn't expect them to do that great, even though they are a Jordan 4. I'd say at best, maybe they're going to have potential for brick profit with a very poor margin, especially if you have no tax and in those larger sizes. But otherwise, they might just end up being personals. I could see them performing very similar to what we saw on the recent Jordan 4 Fire Red. Then on May 29th, for $180, we'll be getting the Jordan 1 High Women's in medium brown. Although we did see the Jordan 1 Palomino brick, I will have to say these should definitely perform much better, and here's why. Often when it comes to Jordan 1s that have the black swoosh, white mid panel, and white toe box, they typically tend to do better than they otherwise would. That combined with the fact that these look like a poor man's Travis Scott, very similar to the Jordan 1 Mocha, I would expect these to perform very well because I think a lot of people want them just because of the fact that they look like Travis Scott Jordan 1s, which was very similar to the case with the Jordan 1 Mochas. With that said, I do think that these are going to perform well enough for profitability with a good margin. Now last and probably also least, we got the Jordan 17 Low Lightning. These are dropping on May 30th for $300. I know the audacity is insane, right? Nah, I hate to disrespect these because a lot of people who did play basketball actually really did like these back in 2002 when they first dropped. But actually, no, I'm going to disrespect these because they're dropping for $300? That's f***ing insane. Are you kidding me? Anyway, let's end it on a good note. We have an actual Travis Scott Jordan, which is supposed to be dropping sometime in spring. There might actually be two of them. If not, one of them will be in summer of 2024. But anyway, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the Sail Muslin Black and Fire Red pair. That stock keeping unit FZ8117-100. Obviously, we'll confirm as we get closer to the drop. But as of now, I'm pretty sure at least one should be dropping in spring. So either way, whatever colorway we end up getting, I think all of us will be grateful for, not only for our personal collections, but I think a lot of us will be reselling these too, and of course you're going to be able to make a solid amount of profit on these like you can on all Travis Scott Jordans. So this is just one of the many releases to look forward to in 2024. Now moving on to some spring releases that don't have precise dates yet. First, we got the Dunk Low Brazil dropping sometime in spring for $115. Now while these are performing quite well right now, I'm not sure I would expect prices to hold up. A lot of these dunks that have been releasing have been just plummeting in value because Nike is just creating tons of stock of them. Now, I do think there should be potential for lunch money on these, especially on the large size, because this is a really well-liked colorway. I personally think it looks great, especially for spring, but unfortunately, with the amount of stock Nike is going to create, I can't really expect these to hold up as well as they are right now. On the other hand, also in spring for $115, we're getting the Dunk Low Plum. This colorway is definitely in higher demand in comparison to that Brazil colorway. So while I do still expect the value of these to drop a lot when Nike does unload tons more stock of them, I do still think there's going to be sufficient demand for profitability with a decent to good margin on these, especially in the larger sizes. This is definitely one of the more well-liked dunk colorways. I personally think it looks great, especially in combination with the unique materials used on these. It sort of reminds me of an SB. Let me know how you guys feel about these. Also in spring for $115, we're getting the Dunk Low Miami Dolphins. Now, I think this is a really great colorway for the summer. It really does remind me of walking around near the beaches of Miami. I think that turquoise with the white goes really nice together, and then you got that orange accent. But in terms of profitability, I can't say the same. I would expect these to just be personals. Also in spring for $125, we got the Dunk Low Reverse Curry finally dropping for the first time since I think 1999. This is an iconic dunk colorway, believe it or not, but nonetheless, I'm not 100% if I would expect these to be profitable. Right now, I would say they have potential for brick profit, maybe lunch money in the large sizes, but other than that, I do still think it's a really solid colorway. Next up, we have one of the biggest grails in Nike basketball finally returning, and that is the KD4 Wheatherman. These should be dropping sometime towards the end of spring, potentially early summer, for $130. Guys, this is one of the most iconic and most hyped up KDs that have ever released. In one of our recent videos, we already talked about the KD4 Galaxy, which a ton ton of us are really excited for, but these KD4 Wheathermans are even more hyped up than those. I would expect these to be very profitable with an incredible margin, especially with the retail of just $130, but I think a lot of us really just want to get these for our collections. Again, this isn't the easiest sneaker to pull off like a lot of these Nike basketball shoes, but if you've been collecting sneakers for a while, you know these are absolutely essential to cop. Now, while it is very far away, we do still have an idea of some of the sneakers that are going to be releasing in summer and fall, so let's go through these two while you're here. Kicking it off on June 1st for $190, we got the Kobe 4 Bacoastal releasing. This is definitely one of the more wearable Kobe's, which you could wear off the basketball court too. Very universal colorway, and then you also got those yellow accents on the back. I think this is a really nice pair, and of course you could expect these to be profitable with a great margin if you intend to sell them. June 8th for $200, we'll be seeing the Jordan 6 Reverse Oreo, and this colorway should be looking like exactly what the name says. Pretty much you got that Oreo colorway on the midsole, the rest of the shoe being white. Now also keep in mind that these are all going to be mock-ups for the most part, courtesy of Z Sneakerheads. Now given their color code and the name, they should look pretty much like this, but don't expect them all to be exactly like this. Anyway, it's a clean pair of Jordan 6s that could go with almost every single outfit. It's great for the summertime, being a white sneaker too, and it looks pretty nice with that icy outsole. In terms of resale though, don't expect these to be profitable. In fact, if you do want a personal, you might be able to catch these on sale for below retail. Next up, on June 20th for $190, we have another Jordan 11 Low. This time it is the Jordan 11 Low Women's in Legend Pink. This is a solid colorway for my 5% female audience. Perfect for the summertime with that white and being a low top sneaker. You can't go wrong with these, and I do think that there's a possibility that they do go on sale, so if you do want a personal pair, you might want to be patient. Definitely don't expect these to be profitable. Then on June 29th for $210, we got the Jordan 13 Dune Red, and wow, this is definitely one of the more unique Jordan 13s. It sort of reminds me of the Jordan 13 mid-clot that we saw a long time ago, and I was a big fan of those. Now, of course, this is a mock-up, but given the color code with Dune Red, Terra Blush White, it should look pretty similar to this, and I have to say, I really like them. Definitely one of the more unique pairs of 13s. However, like most pairs of 13s, I still would expect these to just be personals, and there is a chance you might be able to get these for below retail on sale too if you are patient. Then, for the first time since 2009, we're getting to see the Kobe 4 Gold Medal release just in time for the Summer Olympics. These are dropping on August 5th for $190. Guys, these are so beautiful. It feels like these belong in a glass case. Now, while these might not be the most wearable everyday sneakers, if you do wear these on the court, you're definitely going to be getting a lot of attention. And of course, you could expect these to be very profitable with an incredible margin too, full throttle. Next up, on August 21st for $140, we have the Jordan 1 Low Mocha. Now, of course, this is going to have a lot of demand and a lot of hype for just one reason, and of course, it's because they look just like Travis Scott's, just like how the Jordan 1 Mocha High performed very well. I do expect these to perform well too. Even though they're a Jordan 1 Low, I do expect them to perform slightly worse because of that, but this colorway should definitely generate decent demand since they are a poor man's Travis Scott. A lot of people are going to want them just because they look like Travis Scott's. With that said, I actually am expecting these to be profitable, considering the retail is $140. I would expect them to be profitable with a good margin and potentially better than that, especially on the large size 10 and above, which is crazy because on a lot of the classic Jordan 1 Lows, we haven't even seen those be profitable like the Jordan 1 Black Toes, but I actually do think that these have pretty solid potential. Now, you're also going to notice we just jumped all the way to August 21st, and that's because the majority of these shoes are so far out that they don't have precise dates yet. Don't worry, we're going to go through much more after we first go through these that do have dates. Then on August 23rd for potentially $190, we might be seeing the Kobe 9 Low EM Halo drop. Now, the picture you're looking at right now is just a mock-up, but I would expect it to be very similar, if not the same as this, considering the other Halo pair that we already saw released was mostly white too, which I think is absolutely incredible. It makes this basketball sneaker super wearable for everyday use as well, and of course you cannot go wrong with all white sneakers. They're just just so clean. And of course, you could also expect these to be very profitable with a great margin. And the same pretty much goes for the Kobe 9 Elite Halo, which is also dropping on August 23rd. As an all-white sneaker, these are going to be super clean on the court, but being a Kobe 9, they might not be for everyday use, but if you can manage to pull them off, more power to you. You could expect these to be very profitable with a good to great margin as well. Next up, we got the Jordan 12 Wolf Gray. These are dropping in August, but they don't have a date yet. Retail most likely will be $210. This is another Jordan 12 that you can match with almost every single outfit. Super easy to pull off, but I don't know if they're ideal for the summertime. Granted, they might release towards the end of the summer. Overall, though, it's a clean pair of 12s. Hard to dislike these, but there's also nothing that really makes these special. Anyway, I don't expect these to be profitable like most Jordan 12s. In fact, you might also be able to get these for below retail. Also, sometime in August, without a precise date yet, for $170, we're finally going to be getting the iconic return of the Airmore Uptempo Olympic. Now, to a lot of you guys, this might just seem like another Uptempo pair, but this is definitely an iconic sneaker, and it was even worn by Scottie Pippen himself during the 1996 Atlanta Games, so this is definitely one of the more hyped up up-tempos. Nonetheless, as an up-tempo, at best, I would only expect brick profit to lunch money on the large sizes 10 and above, and maybe even just personals. We'll see as we get closer to the release date, of course, but if you do like up-tempos, this is probably one of the best colorways you could get. Personally, I'm not a big fan of up-tempos, though. Let me know what your thoughts are on them, though. Also, sometime in summer, for $115, we're finally going to be getting the return of the Dunk Low Veneer, very similar to the Plum pair. Of course, there's going to be a lot of stock on these, so expect the value to drop, but nonetheless, I do think that these, along with the Plums, will hold their value a bit better, although the Plums more so than these. I do still think there should be room for lunch money, especially on the larger sizes. It's definitely one of the more unique colorways, a lot more difficult to pull off, but if you can manage to do so, they're going to definitely catch some attention, and you gotta love that they use some really nice nubuck and suede materials on these. Also in summer, for $125, similar to the Reverse Curry, we're going to be getting the return of the Dunk Low Ultraman. These first dropped in 1999. It's definitely a classic dunk colorway, so if you're looking to get a classic pair of dunks, this one might be for you. Pretty wearable colorway too, although with a retail of $125, at best I'd only expect brick profit on these, maybe lunch money in large sizes, but we'll see, of course, as we get closer to the release. I'm not too optimistic as of now, though. Guys, I don't even know if you're ready for the next one. This is one of the most iconic sneakers in all of Nike basketball. Guys, we are finally going to be seeing the return of the Air Foamposite One Galaxy sometime in summer 2024, potentially August, for $240. Guys, this is one of the most sought after Nike basketball pairs ever, and personally, it is definitely one of my top grails of all time. I got the Big Bang foams, and I love those, but me being someone who's so fascinated by space, I've always wanted the Galaxy Foamposite, but they've always just been so expensive. I just could never pull the trigger, so I'm so happy that I'm finally going to be able to get a chance to get these two. Let me know if you guys are just as excited as I am, or if I'm just crazy, but of course you could also expect these to be very profitable with a great margin too. It really does depend on how much stock Nike is going to produce on these, but I have a feeling they're probably going to keep these very limited like they did for the Big Bang Foamposites, and nonetheless, there's still going to be insane demand on these amongst all OG collectors. For $180, we'll be seeing the Jordan 1 High White Obsidian Summit White. This colorway really reminds me of a Georgetown colorway like what we saw on the Georgetown 11 lows, where you got that gum bottom and you got that navy and white upper. I think it looks pretty solid. Again, of course, just a mock-up, but we'll probably see something looking pretty close to these given what the color code is. In terms of profitability, though, I can't say the same. Like the majority of Jordan 1s that are not classic colorways, I'd expect these to just be personals, and you could probably get them for below retail in the secondary market if they don't go on sale. Next up, we got a Jordan... You gotta be f***ing kidding me. Alright, so they must have heard me talking about the Jordan 2s, because now they're making a Jordan 2-3. Alright, so you know... I'll actually hold my breath on these. Maybe they'll end up being somewhat decent when we see the actual version, because I'm pretty sure this is just a mock-up. And look, I'm not hating on the colorway. It's white, red. Can't really go wrong with that, but I don't know how I feel about the build right now. Maybe they'll grow on me. Honestly, let me know what you guys are thinking about these down below. I definitely do not expect these to be profitable, and I am expecting them to go on sale, but who knows, maybe all of a sudden everybody's just going to love this silhouette. But, you know, call me crazy. for just making an educated guess that these are not going to sell out. Retail's $160, and you'll be able to get them on sale for $120. Next up, sometime in the summer for $250, we have the J Balvin Jordan 3 Rio. Yes, we are getting another J Balvin 3. This time, it's coming with the same exact color pattern, but the primary is going to be black rather than the tan that we saw on the prior pair. And I have to say, this one looks pretty nice too. I was a huge fan of the prior one, and those also ended up being extremely hyped and performed very well. And I'd expect the same to be the case for these, but I would expect them to perform just slightly worse than those did. But nonetheless, despite a retail of $250, I would still expect these to be profitable with a good margin, especially in the larger sizes 10 and above. More importantly, I definitely want a personal pair of these, so I'm hoping that J Balvin does a website drop again, just like he did for the tan pair of the Jordan 3s, because that was a great job. Just like on the recent A Ma Maniere Jordan 5, all members did have the early link for the new domain that they were going to be using. It was a nice, easy advantage, easy cop for anyone who wanted any size. So obviously, we always look forward to these unique types of releases. Again, if you are interested in endurance, you can check it out with the link below, and if not, completely fine. You could also check out that same link for completely free sneaker updates. Next up in summer for $160. Okay, so next up, we got another Travis Scott Jordan dropping. This time, it is the Travis Scott Jordan Jumpman Jack Trainer, formerly known as the Travis Scott Jordan Cut the Check. That's what we originally thought they were going to be named. Now, I think there might be two colorways that are dropping in summer, or at least spring and summer, but if not, there's definitely at least going to be one pair, and that should be the Sail Muslin Black and Fire Red pair. Stock keeping unit FZ8117-100, but obviously, we'll see. We might end up seeing two of them, and we also just saw another pair of the Jack Trainers just come out, so it looks like we might see a lot of different colorways of this. We'll see as we do get closer to the release dates, though. I'll keep you guys updated. Just make sure you are subscribed and enable post notifications. This way you don't miss out on anything. It is pretty awesome that Travis Scott finally gets his own signature Jordan. Now, I will admit, if these were not Travis Scott's, I don't know if I would have given them the same chance as I am now. Maybe I wouldn't have paid them much mind, but I will admit, since Travis Scott, it is his sneaker, I have been looking at them a little closer, and I'll admit, okay, I do think that they look pretty nice. You might hate on me in the comments saying I only like them because Travis Scott wore them, and you know what? Subconsciously, that might be true, but at the end of the day, I think they look pretty aesthetically nice. Definitely very excited to get some of these colorways. Now, in terms of resale, of course, you could expect these to be very profitable with a great to incredible margin, especially because retail should only be $200. We'll see as we get closer to the drop, and of course, I'm going to make a how to cop guide so you guys can get your hands on pairs. Now, jumping into fall, what better way to transition than with those Jordan Jumpman Jack taupe hazes that I was alluding to earlier. So this is the other colorway that I was just talking about that just recently came out. I'm not a big fan of this colorway, at least relative to the other colorways we've already seen. Now, of course, this is just a mock-up, but given that the color code is taupe haze, sail thunder, blue gum, and light brown, it should look something kind of like this. I'm not a huge fan of it. Let me know what you guys are thinking below, but in terms of resale, they definitely still should be profitable with a very good to great margin. Of course, I'll keep you guys updated as we get to the release, though. Now, we also know of some fall sneakers that are going to be dropping, so let's go through some of the highlighted ones. First of all, we got the Dunk Low Silver Surfer coming back for the first time since 2004 for $125. Unfortunately, I don't think this is going to have a lot of demand, but being a classic dunk, I think there is going to be potential for brick profit in the large sizes, maybe lunch money. We'll see, of course, but right now, I'm not too optimistic about this colorway. On the other hand, we have another Nike basketball sneaker, which is one of the most iconic of all time, and that is the KD4 Nerf. These are dropping sometime in fall of 2024 for $130. These first dropped in 2011, and people were going nuts for them, and there still is insane hype for that 2011 pair. They're obviously not cheap if you want to get a pair even used and beat up, but now you're finally going to have a chance to get your hands on a new pair. Now, of course, this is not the most wearable shoe, but the same goes for a lot of these older classic Nike basketball sneakers. They're still going to have insane demand, a lot of it deriving from the OG Nike basketball collectors. I used to dream about getting pairs like this, so I'm so happy that they're finally releasing them. And with a retail of only $130, similar to the other KD Weathermans that we just talked about, I would expect these to be very profitable with a great margin too, full throttle. Next up, we have another absolute classic, and I say classic because this is actually the very first Foamposite colorway to ever release. This is the Foamposite One Royal, and these are dropping in fall for $240. Now, to a lot of you guys, this might just seem like another Foamposite, but if the metallic red Foamposites had a lot of demand on them, I really think that these are going to have even more than that. So with that said, despite a high retail of $240, I do think that there is potential for at least lunch money with a poor to subpar margin on these. I don't expect them to be as hyped as the Galaxy Foamposites that we just discussed, of course, but I do still think that there is solid potential for profitability on these. Not only that, but I think a lot of us OG collectors definitely need these in our collection, because how could you not want the original Foamposite? Also in fall, most likely slightly above the usual retail of $140, probably for $160, we got the PSG Jordan 1 Low. Now, of course, this is just a mock-up, and I really think in terms of resale for these, it depends on what they're going to look like, so I'm not going to make a judgment right now, and that's because we've seen the Jordan 4 and the Jordan 5 PSG appreciate really well over time, and I think the Jordan 1 Low silhouette does have that potential, assuming it is a good design. Now, considering it is going to have infrared, I'm not 100% sure if that is going to be possible. As of now, I'd lean more towards these being personals, but we'll see as we do get closer to the drop. Also in fall for $180, we got the Jordan 1 High Metallic Gold. This is just going to be a black and metallic gold sail colorway. Unfortunately, they don't have the white mid panel, they don't have a black swoosh, and they don't have a white toe box either, so I don't think a lot of us are going to be big fans of this colorway, but if you do like the look of metallic gold, these might be for you. Personally, not a big fan, just based off this mock-up at least. And in terms of resale, I definitely don't expect these to be profitable like most non-classic Jordan 1s recently. I'd expect these to most likely go on sale or go for below retail in the secondary market, so be patient if you do want a personal. Also in fall, probably for $200 like the prior Jordan 3, unless they increase retail like the Jordan 4s. In that case, they'd be $225. Either way, this is a big deal. We got another A Ma Maniere Jordan 3 dropping, this time in the Burgundy Crush colorway. Of course, this is just a mock-up, but either way, I'm pretty confident that these are going to look incredible. Usually, Maniere does a really great job of what they have to work with, and in terms of resale, despite the fact Maniere is going to charge high shipping on there or even on sneakers with the free shipping, I still am expecting these to be profitable with a good margin, especially in the larger sizes, so this is definitely just another drop to look forward to. But wait, there's more. Yes, we are getting another Jordan 4 A Ma Maniere, this time the Phantom Light Iron or Muslin Burgundy Crush. So this is another one with that same kind of look. It's going to have a vintage vibe with a lot of earthy tones and that Burgundy Crush, of course. I think they're probably going to come out great. I have full confidence in A Ma Maniere to do their thing, and like the prior Jordan 4s, I do think these are going to be profitable as well with a good margin, especially in large sizes. Also in fall for $210, we'll be getting another Jordan 4, this time in the Smoke Gray colorway. Of course, this is just a mock-up, pretty basic, but based on the color code, it is going to look something like this with smoke gray, iron gray, cement gray, particle gray. Of course, it's going to be a very wearable Jordan 4, and those tend to do pretty well actually. So I do think that these will be profitable with a decent to good margin. Nothing crazy, but definitely a good opportunity to look forward to. Not only that, but of course for all my fellow Jordan 4 lovers out there, this is just going to be another very wearable Jordan 4 that could go with almost any outfit. Also in fall, probably for $210, we have the Jordan 5 RKO Brown dropping. This is definitely one of the more unique looks. I think these would have been great if they had dropped, a couple of years ago. As of right now, though, I don't think they're going to perform too well. Probably say they're just going to be personals like most Jordan 5s, and they might even go on sale too, so be patient if you do want a personal pair. Also in fall for $210, we'll be seeing the return of a classic Jordan 6, and that is the Jordan 6 Olympic. A lot of people really like this colorway, including myself. Very clean with that navy and white upper, and you gotta love these subtle red accents on them. Very similar to what you would see on a True Blue Jordan 3, for example. I think a lot of people are excited for these, but nonetheless, just like they were excited excited for the Carmines and the UNC6s. I still do think that these are going to just be personals, but if you do want a personal, I would not sleep on these. I don't expect them to go on sale. Also in fall for $200, we got the Jordan 13 Midnight Navy dropping. This looks very similar to what we'd see on a Georgetown type colorway. You got that gum bottom, and then you got the navy and white upper, and honestly, I think it looks pretty nice. Not usually a big fan of the gum bottoms, but I definitely think it works here. Nonetheless, if you do want a personal pair, I do expect these to go on sale, so be patient if you do want a personal, like most Jordan 13s. And last, and probably least, aside from the audacious $300 retail, we got the Jordan 17 Varsity Red and also UNC dropping. Now, of course, these are really solid colorways, but I don't think a lot of you guys like Jordan 17s. Maybe if you play basketball and you're looking for something with a vintage look, these are good for you. They got that nice retro style to them, but unfortunately for the everyday wearer, unless you're just getting these to put them on your shelf, I don't think we want to pay $300 for these. So now there is a chance that they end up making these like super limited and they actually end up being somewhat profitable because of that. I'm not sure where production is right now, but if you are interested in stock, we'll know that closer to the release date. So just make sure you are subscribed and enable post notifications for all types of updates like that. And of course, follow my Twitter, KeithAdam10, for urgent updates and info like shock drops. And for early information before the shock drops actually occur, consider joining Endurance with the link below, or you could also check out that same link for completely free sneaker updates. And remember, we're also giving out one free Endurance channel with that. Other than that though, have a fantastic rest of your day, and it looks like we got a lot of great releases ahead. But remember, this is only a small fraction of what we're going to be seeing. It is way too far out right now to be knowing all the releases. Speaking of which, after recording that, here's another one, the Travis Scott Jordan 1 Low. These are dropping in fall 2024 for $150. This is obviously quite different from the original olive women's pair that we saw. Nonetheless, you could still expect these to be just as profitable, if not more so, than that other pair we've seen. And we also got word that there's going to be a Jordan 4 White Thunder. Yes, that's right. It's pretty much the yellow Thunder, but instead of the accents being yellow, they're white, allowing these to be matched with almost every single outfit. Super cool concept. I'm really excited for these. They're dropping sometime in August for $215, and I would expect these to perform around what the Thunders did, if not perhaps even slightly better, since they're much more universal. So definitely a drop to look forward to, whether you want personals like myself or if you're looking for a quick profit. And last, but definitely not least, we recently just got word that the Jordan 11 Legend Blue, aka the Jordan 11 Columbia, is going to be returning in holiday 2024, so about a year from now, and this is going to be the first time they're coming back since their re-release 10 years ago back in 2014. I'm super excited to finally get another chance to get these. I remember when they first came out, I wasn't able to afford them, and I was really jealous when other kids had them. I'm sure a lot of you guys might feel the same. Let me know if you can relate down in the comments below. Now, I definitely need a personal, but unfortunately, I would expect these to perform somewhat similar to what we saw on the DMP this year. That's because these are going to have a ton of stock. Even though demand is very high, I'd still expect them to be mostly just personals. At best, maybe you can make a little bit of brick profit if you sell them locally, but other than that, these are just going to make for some really great personals for the collection.